How is it going, guys? My name is Zamazenta and welcome back to week 6 of the UPBA, where this week we're up against RazorClawww and the Townsville Tyranitars. Now, Razor is a very talented coach and is actually the reigning champion of the UPBA, having defeated Shaykwaza in the finals of this competition last season. So they're a very talented coach with a bit of a pedigree, and they have a bit of a tendency to bring very weird, very quirky sets. So I'm really looking forward to see what kind of heat they can bring up in this matchup. But yes, before we have a look at the teams, let's have a quick look at the table to see how the standings of the competition is looking after 5 weeks. So, yeah, let's have a look, shall we? So, we are currently sat in 5th, which means that we're doing pretty well for ourselves. We have a differential of +7, and we are currently level on points with Shuckle King and the OK Rillaboomers. We've got some very, very tough opposition coming up. We play Patmac and the Sacramento Sandslash. We play the Forest Green Snovers, coached by Dr. Slacking, and I think we also finish off by playing Jack and the Vancouver Titans. So very, very difficult matchups coming up, and it's going to be kind of important for us to get a win here if we're going to manage to make playoffs. We're not quite there yet. There is a little bit of work left to be done, but we're in a very, very good position. So, let's have a look at the matchup, shall we? If you're not interested in hearing about the matchup, feel free to use the YouTube chapters down below to skip forward to the battle. But without further ado, this is what my opponent's draft looks like. And this is the team that I am bringing for it. So, my opponent's draft is very, very scary. There is a whole ass Nagana Dell there. There is a Ninetales Alola. That is very, very scary as well. And if it's brought offensively, it could just murk me. There is also a Darmanitan just chilling there. And they have a Milotic, which I'm finding it very, very difficult to break. So, in order to win this match, I've really had to try and tailor my team to my opponent as much as possible. In fact, the only reason I've brought Thundurus here whatsoever is to break Milotic, because the 5 that I brought without Thundurus, Thundurus was the last Pokemon on my draft, on this team, sorry. The only reason that I brought it was because I struggled to break Milotic without it. And I thought to myself, what do I have on my draft that can break a Milotic? I have 2 Pokemon, I have Tapu Bulu and I have Thundurus, and then which one does the better job of breaking Milotic? And Thundurus, for me, just appeared to have a better matchup against the rest of the team. So I figured, yeah, let's go. Let's go Nasty Plot, let's go Thunderbolt, let's go Grass Knot, and let's just destroy things. And yeah, Thundurus is on the draft. But yeah, it's a very typical team this week. We've brought some basic Genesect shenanigans. We've actually gone with the Shift Gear set this week, because I figured that was probably the best thing that I had to sweep and clean this game up. I've got some funky EV spread on it. I've got just enough HP to be able to take a Choice Banded Aegis Slash's Close Combat, or a Choice Specs Aegis Slash's Shadow Ball, while also having enough attack investment to 2-hit KO everything at +2. So that's with 1 Shift Gear, besides full physically defensive Milotic that is burnt with a Marvel Scale. So yeah, very, very specific EVs this week. I've also brought Lycanroc Midnight. This time it's going to be brought as a lead. It's going to be the Pokemon I lead off with. It's going to get Stealth Rocks up because they don't have any removal that's any good. It's going to Toxic something, and it's then just going to do some damage. So yeah, it's just here to get rocks up and hit something fairly hard. So yeah, that's all it's here for. If it doesn't get to do that, it will at least Toxic something and do some damage. So it's a fun mon, and I'm very looking forward to it. I've also got Zygarde here, chilling in the back, just as like a late game cleaner. If Genesect isn't able to set up the Shift Gear, I wanted another fast Pokemon that's able to clean up, and Zygarde here with 1000 Arrows, Skittersmack, Iron Tail, Outrage is basically able to do that. It's got coverage for everything on my opponent's team, except for potentially Sandaconda, but 1000 Arrows is still going to really hurt it. And we've got some really cool stuff here. Assault Vest's Slowbro this week, with Brick Break, just in case they brought the Alolan Ninetales and try to set up Aurora Veil. I can Brick Break to get rid of those boosts, so if I'm able to do that, it's going to be very, very cool. And it also takes hits from a lot of my opponent's team. Like, it's going to be able to potentially take a hit from Celebi. It's going to be able to take a hit from Naganadel. It's actually my only answer to Naganadel, because Naganadel is a massive, massive threat. That Pokemon is huge. And it's just going to put in work this week. And yeah, we've just gone with a Wish Protect Skull Ice Beam Vaporeon just to do Wish shenanigans if I need to. So it's a pretty bog standard team this week. The only funky set really is the Genesect, which obviously you can see here has some funky EVs and shift gear. But yeah, that is the team. And let's see what happens when we took on the Townsville Tyranitars and the reigning champion of the UPBA. Now here we are in the battle, and I know what you're thinking. Wi-Fi looks a bit weird this week, doesn't it? Well, that's unfortunately because despite our best attempts over the course of about a week to try and get this game played on Wi-Fi so that we can have some breathtaking Pokemon visuals for you, it just was not going to happen. We did our best. We even tried to do it on Monday Night Mons. We tried the Wi-Fi competition method. We tried that about 3 or 4 different times. We even tried like doing it at ridiculous times. I stayed awake until 2 a.m. on a day where I had to be in work at like 9 a.m. the next day. So I tried really hard, and so did my opponent. Razor did very, very, as much as he could to try and get this sorted, but it just wasn't meant to be, I guess. So we had to take it over to the trusted, tried and tested Pokemon Showdown, and that is exactly where we are right now. So yeah, let's hit that play button and see what happens when we took on Razor for this week. So as I expected, I'm going to lead off with my Lycanroc Midnight, and my opponent is going to lead off with the Sandaconda, meaning I can very freely click Toxic on it and get a Poison, which is going to be very nice. My opponent goes for the high horsepower, crits me funnily enough. That would be about the 4th time this season I've been crit turn 1, which is hilarious. It's like this game has it out for me, but they are going to then bring me down to the Focus Sash, and yeah, I can now freely get my rocks up and do some cool stuff. Now, this Sandaconda being poisoned is going to be very good for me, but they actually make the read and switch out into Aegislash, thinking I might be going for Endeavour. Now, that's a very smart play on my opponent's side of things, but it's not quite what I brought. I did not have Endeavour, and they've made a read thinking that I did, and it's not worked out for them because I get Stealth Rock up for free. I now go for Crunch, and my opponent also does not Shadow Sneak, thinking that I'm going to reserve this for a sacrifice later on. And they go for Shadow Ball, allowing me to get a big crunch off and get some damage off on this Aegislash, as it takes me out with a Shadow Ball, leaving the scores at 6-5. So Lycanroc has done its job, and we are absolutely fine. I'm going to then bring in Thundurus in order to try and revenge this, and then make an aggressive double switch out into Genesect, but they actually Shadow Sneak me for some reason, and I wasn't sure why they did that, but cool. I'm going to go for a Blaze Kick, trying to finish off this cheeky Aegislash, but my opponent unfortunately makes the switch out into Milotic, which takes some Stealth Rock damage and takes the Blaze Kick and is still fairly healthy, and it does get burnt from its Flame Orb, as you can see right there, Flame Orb. So this thing is the set that I really didn't want to come, because it's incredibly physically bulky and I don't really have a way of dealing with it. It's a very, very tough Pokemon for me to break outside of Thundurus over here. Thundurus is the only thing I have that can break this Pokemon, and without it, this Milotic is basically just going to insta-win, because it's burnt, meaning I can't Toxic it. I don't have a way of breaking through it without any kind of hacks, and I need to keep Thundurus alive specifically to deal with this Milotic. So I'm going to go for a U-turn here just to test the waters. It does a big hefty chunk and goes straight out into Thundurus as this Milotic hits the recover and gets itself back up to full health. Take a little bit of burn damage. I now get to go for the Nasty Plot as they pull the hard switch out into Stoutland, and I go for the Nasty Plot here. Now, I still didn't know what this Stoutland set was going to be. He's brought Stoutland basically every week as an offensive cleaner, And I figured, okay, you're going to do it again. You were just expecting me to Volt Switch and you didn't want to take it on your Milotic. So cool, let's go to Stoutland. So my +2 Nasty Plot Thunderbolt does not kill this Stoutland and reveals that this is Assault Vested, as it goes for Facade and does about half damage to me. That's not good, my brother. That's not good at all, because now I have to play this Thundurus very, very safely. Otherwise, I end up losing, basically, because I won't be able to break Milotic. I am going to go for another Thunderbolt just to take out this Stoutland. I don't want to reveal the Grass Knot, which I do have, but I'm not going to reveal it just yet, because I do not want my opponent thinking that Sandaconda is not a safe switch-in for them. I want to try and catch that Sandaconda at some point. So they're going to go out into Nagana Dell. The threat is here, the big monster that 2-hit KOs my entire team, and I'm going to hard switch out into my only counter to this thing, which is Slowbro Galar with the Assault Vest, as it goes for a Dragon Pulse and does about 5 damage. Slowbro eats that up, absolutely eats it up. And we now get to just hit something. They're going to go out into Sandaconda as we go straight for a Sludge Bomb, doing a little bit of chip damage, wearing this Sandaconda down as it gets the Sandstorm up with the Sand Spit. So, bit of an even situation here. I'm not going to want to stay in and take a higher horsepower, so I go hard out into Moranjo as they set up their own Stealth Rock, which is going to put a bit of pressure on me. It's luckily I did bring heavy duty boots Thundurus this week, but without that I'd have been in trouble. Now they're going to go for my Milotic. I'm going to go for a Wish, and my intention here is to try and pass this Wish out into Thundurus. I would like to try and pass it out into Thundurus and get it back up to full health. But they reveal Dragon Tail, which does 6 damage. And drags out my Genesect, who's going to take this Wish, get itself right back up to full health, and it's as you were. Now this Milotic has to go for Recover here, otherwise it's just dead. So I'm going to go for a U-turn. It doesn't manage to kill, very, very close, but now I have Thundurus in, and I get to fire off an attack, which is pretty decent. So I'm going to go for a Thunderbolt here, as they swap in the Nagana Dell, and I'm like, okay, cool. I do about 36 damage, meaning this thing cannot switch in on me again because it will die with Stealth Rock, and I go out into my counter, the check, Big Pablo, as it sets up its spikes all over me. Now that's really bad for Big Pablo, that's really bad for Moranjo, it's fairly bad for Zygarde, and it's fairly bad for Genesect. Basically means that it's going to put a lot of pressure on my offensive Pokemon to do the work, and if they don't do the work, I'm in trouble. So they're going to switch out hard out into Milotic, as I am going to go for a Sludge Bomb, which is not going to take it out. The burn is going to do some damage, but now I'm like, they have to recover, otherwise this thing dies, and I get to go hard out into Thundurus, rinse and repeat. It's as you were, I get to fire off a Thunderbolt. So every time Milotic is in, it's forced to click Recover, and I get to get some momentum with my Thundurus. They go out to Sandaconda as I Thunderbolt it, does nothing, that's cool, it's going to take some toxic damage, and now I'm going to reveal the Grass Knot and take this thing out, which is very good for me. They are going to get the Sandstorm up, which honestly probably helps me more than anything, because it's going to be able to chip the Milotic a little bit quicker, it's going to chip down that Nagana Dell, it's going to chip Celebi, and Thundurus doesn't need its health at this point, it only needs to be able to switch in and hit the Milotic once, and then we're fine. So yeah, they're going to go out into Nagana Dell, which is going to be able to outspeed me because it's a very fast Pokemon. I'm going right back out into Big Pablo. That's the only thing I can do here. And they are going to Spikes again, which is also less than ideal. But we both take Sandstorm damage. This Nagana Dell slowly being worn down. Genesect now beats it. They go hard out into Aegislash on my Sludge Bomb. And now I'm in trouble because I don't have a switch into this thing. So I don't remember how I dealt with that, but I make a switch out, as you see, into Vaporeon, as they make the aggressive play out into Milotic to try and get some, I assume, get a free recover on my Milotic, on my Vaporeon. I'm going to go hard out into Thundurus again. It's the game plan. Every single time this Milotic comes in, if it's at less than half, go out into Thundurus. So they're going to go out into Thundurus. They're going to go out into Milotic. I go out into Thundurus, and I'm going to pull an aggressive double switch here out into Genesect to get the attack boost on the Milotic as they go into Celebi. That is exactly the situation I wanted. If Celebi is in, I am really, really happy, because Celebi is not going to want to stay in on what they think is still like a fast Genesect. And they cannot touch me or kill me with any attack that Celebi learns. Even like a Specs bloody... I don't know, like I don't know what Celebi gets. Maybe like Dual Wing Beat or something. It can't kill me. So I basically get to go for a free Shift Gear here. Aegislash comes in. I'm going to go for the Shift Gear, get me up to +2 attack, +2 speed, and now we're in a good situation. Aegislash is going to Shadow Sneak me as we go for the Blaze Kick to take it out, and now we're at a 5-3. Genesect is in position, is able to do it. Milotic comes out, takes the Stealth Rock damage. I figure this Milotic is going to try and recover on me. I just want this thing to be at around half health, because if it's at around half health, I get a free switch out into Thundurus and get to fire off an attack, which is going to be great for me. So that's exactly... I'm going to go for a Shift Gear here. I'm going to go for a Shift Gear to try and increase my attack, knowing my Zen Headbutt now does about 48% to it, which is a 2-hit KO with burn. So I get to go for a Zen Headbutt, and we get the flinch. Now, that was pretty big, but I don't think it changed the game. I don't think it changed the outcome of this match, because we haven't seen this Celebi yet, but I'll tell you what it was after this match played out. But that flinch is huge, and it basically means I am able to Zen Headbutt again, take out this Milotic, claim another kill with my Genesect. Celebi's here, and he goes for a Sucker Punch, gets a critical hit, and does not take me out. Because of the HP investment that I have on this Genesect, I'm able to take a critical hit, Life Orb Sucker Punch from a Celebi, and finish it off with a Blaze Kick in return, and that basically guarantees the game for me. I'm now able to just click U-turn and get a free kill and win that way. So that is going to be the game. A 5-0 victory for the Birmingham Spritzy against the Townsville Tyranitars, and we are feeling very good about this one. Now that Celebi was actually Swords Dance, Sucker Punch, Dual Wing Beat, Leaf Blade, and my opponent told me that the idea that they had was to set up on Miranjo, set up on Vaporeon. Now that didn't quite work out for them, because obviously they weren't put in a position where they could switch it into Miranjo and do some damage to Miranjo, but the flinch on Milotic took that opportunity away from them and allowed me to win the game. I don't think the flinch mattered, because my Zygarde was Choice Scarf and would have outsped Celebi and been able to one-shot it with Skitter Smack, but I do not like the fact that the flinch basically meant that that situation couldn't occur regardless. Like, I don't like the fact that it took the game away from my opponent, but either way, a 5-0 victory for me is a 5-0 victory for me. My opponent is an amazing person, a very, very talented player, and I appreciate everything they've done in the build-up to this match. So, where does that leave the table after this round of matches? Well, as you can see, we are now currently in second position. Second place in the table. That's the highest I've been in any kind of league for a long time, especially at this stage of the season. That leaves us at 4-2 in second place with some very difficult opponents coming up. That is exactly where I needed to be. This win here today against a solid, strong opponent has put me in great standing for the season. But yes, that is all from me. Thank you very much for watching. Next week we're up against Pat Mac and the Sacramento Sandslash, and it's going to be a hell of a game. So I will join you back for that one next week. Look after yourselves, guys. Take care.